Nalin has been in game dev for a very long time. I don't remember any single big event wherein I did not run into Nalin. I see him as an elder brother to me because I get to learn so much from him. He has his own way of understanding the client, understanding the customer. So that is something that has not only helped me but also filled my wallet quite a bit. So I'm always happy. So I'll let Nalin introduce the topic that he is speaking on. Career in game dev industry, in gaming industry, the Y factor. I have seen his presentation before and it was fabulous. So I personally asked him if you could come here and do this presentation so you all could gain from it. So I'll let Nalin take the mic and continue from here.
Okay, hey people, great being here, and I totally loved Ayush's session, and I hope I'm able to kind of produce something which is of usefulness and value to you. My name is Nalin Savara. I run a company called Dark Sun Technologies, which I founded many years ago. So anyways, coming back to the topic, and as Ayush rightly said, that it's a world where in India where at one level everybody wants to be in the game dev industry, and at another level many times it seems as if nobody is actually doing anything, or the ones who are doing it are getting crushed and all that. So in that world, those of you who are committed to being in the game dev industry, they would be wondering about different aspects of game dev career. Sometimes it happens that from 5 different sources we hear 5 different things. That when we see it in the form of an advertisement by some gaming teaching institute, they say that the prospects are very good. When we talk to a bhaiya who's working in a company like Cadence, and he says, "Arey nahi, isme mat jao, kuch aur karo." And when we talk to parents, they have yet another perspective. So I thought I'll share a bit of my journey and my experiences and what we have seen and what I see as the why factor behind why people get into game dev. Because there's one thing that somebody says it's good, somebody says it's bad, but हर एक के दिल में एक मंशा होती है जिसके कारण वो कुछ करना चाहता है, और फिर एक बार वो दिल में मंशा होती है तो फिर it doesn't matter what anybody else says. So I'm just going to talk a bit about game dev companies and game dev cultures. So one of the things I want to ask you is, why do you want to be in game dev? Say somebody raise your hand and say something. Why do you want to be in game dev?
I'll say I want to be in it to make the money.
Okay.
To make money.
Okay. Okay.
I am the art side of the game and I like to draw and concept visualization.
Okay, you are on the art side of the game and you like to draw visualization. Yes.
I think storytelling is a fundamental aspect of being humans, and I think games offer the best way and most interactive way of communicating a story.
Very beautifully said. Yes.
I think if you are a software developer and you not know to make games, then I don't know, means anything that's happening in the software industry already happened in the game industry. Game industry is the best possible software industry in terms of technology happening currently or in the future. If you have to give a digital experience to anybody, you have to give a technology that is able to deliver that impact. I think AI, if I give an example, AI became a mainstream thing in India, I think recently 5 years, 3-4 years back. In game industry, AI was a thing of about 10 to 12 years, everybody knows there was an AI. It was already working in that and everybody knows it has to come. So if I give a layman term, that's the best thing closer to any tech heavy person.
Got it. Thank you so much. Anybody else have a perspective? Yeah.
I want to be in the game industry because I'm very curious to learn how things are developed and how new technologies are developed in this game. So that's why
Great. That's also a perspective. And how is game dev different? Like, let's say you were working with a company which is making banking software or which is making insurance software. So how would you expect a game dev company or a game dev career to be different from that?
Gamification.
Okay, gamification. That is one place where the conventional software development like banking or insurance intersects with games or the things we love in games, the reward mode and all that. What else? How would you expect a gaming company to be different?
The product they sell, the product they are selling has to get the attention out of millions of other games to make the money. So any game development studio will survive only if they are able to get that 5-minute, 10-minute attention from their possible audience. A banking software is something that you have to use. A game is something that you don't have to use, you want to play. I take it this way.
Very, very beautifully said. So to summarize both of my last two questions, I would say that one thing is that with game dev, the customer is the client. With the banking software, the person, the end user of the software is a rank and file bank employee who is not necessarily the client who gives us the task or who sets the requirement. With game dev, the end user, unless he gets addicted to it, unless he loves it, he does not exist as your end user. He is going to see it and he'll say, kya bekar cheez hai? And he's not even going to try downloading a free demo. But if somebody loves something, then they are not going to work too hard to connect the dots that how is this relevant to you. They say, I love it, so I love it. Love is blind. Like I would say that if Last of Us, you are killing somebody who's loved by all, the people don't want him to be killed, so they go wild. So that aspect of attachment or that aspect of love is there. And so when you are working in a game dev company, you typically expect that you will build at least a few things in your career, or you will contribute to the building of a few things that end users will love. And love is not attraction that somebody says that this has a value proposition for us. Love is that once you love something, you say that this is the thing I'm going to go home and play, this is the thing I will do on my weekend, this is the thing I will carry and play on my laptop when I'm traveling. So that is the love aspect of game dev. And that love, that sense of addictiveness is what makes a game a hit. That is also what makes a game sell in the first place. Coming back to this topic of how are game dev companies or game dev careers different. One is obviously that you are building a product which is targeted at the end user who is also the guy who makes the buy or not buy decision. So unless it is something which is addictive and the end user loves, nobody gives a damn. The second thing is that a lot of people enter game dev not just with the idea of storytelling, but also having a role in determining the way the story is told. So a person said that when they decided that the story will take this arc, then a lot of people just stepped away and said, what the hell, we don't want to be a part of it. Even though in a corporatized game dev studio with hundreds of people, the big guys in the corporate don't even think like this. Like somebody had made a movie and they came up with an AI generated happy ending and the director protested. He said this is wrong. And the audience doesn't give a damn. जैसे कि हमें क्या फर्क पड़ता है, हम कौन जाके दोबारा पैसे देगा इस फिल्म के लिए.
Absolutely.
So that is very intricate and basic to storytelling. Unless people see a role in it, they don't care. And because they see a role in it, that is why originally the culture of crunch times in game dev came. That if you are going to release a game because of a contract after 6 weeks and we know that the game is not good enough, then initially when there were smaller teams and people were actually in those pioneering days of game dev, they said that हम अपनी जी जान लगाएंगे, we will not produce a flop. Of course, it degraded into a culture where people talk of wanting unionization in game dev, but that is the roots and the genesis of the culture of pouring your heart and soul out and working days and nights in that. The third thing that I am talking about with regard to the why factor is that many times in game dev, the teams are very closely knit. Closely knit means that it's quite possible that if somebody has made a heroic effort, the team will remember that effort months or years later. It might happen that one guy has done a heroic effort to use a very smart shortcuts to produce something great within months rather than years. So it might happen that like a commando team which has fought hijackers and changed the course of history, everybody will remember their guy as the action guy, the one-man army, the commando guy, even if that company had 1,000 employees and the team had 200 people. So these three things I talked about. One is that there are closely knit teams and people remember heroic efforts. In a banking software, if somebody is making a heroic effort also, they will, some people might say कि चाटू मल तू कभी रुकता नहीं बॉस को पॉलिश करने के अपने efforts में, and they might laugh at it, right? If somebody repeats that talk about customer value, people might say that dude, we are not the HR who is going to give you an appraisal. But in game dev, actions speak louder than words, and when somebody takes action to create a heroically better and awesome outcome, it is remembered. So so these are the 3 or 4 points that I thought I'll just put forward about the why factor underlying why people get into the game dev industry and how is this practically relevant to us. You know, I've talked about things that you know are obvious truths because Divyansh has introduced me as somebody who has a lot of experience. You can say that, okay, I have validated those truths, but why is this important? This is important because when you go into the industry as somebody who's contributing, let's say there's an entrepreneur over here whose company has got funded and you say I'm going to jump into this company, then what is the spirit, what is the mindset, what is the attitude you are carrying, and what is the yardstick based on which you are seeing the company which is paying your salary as being good or bad. So what is the basis on which you can think that the product will be a successful and a hit product versus a product which is a boring product or a flop movie. So these are just some of the things that sort of underlie the why factor of game dev. That maybe the industry is not helping people, the government is not supporting, there is some segment of the industry which was employing people. Maybe there are people who say कि इंडिया में गेम डेव का स्कोप नहीं है और अब्रॉड जाओगे तो खतरा है. But whatever and wherever, I would say that as game devs, you guys would always chase the high of pouring your heart and soul into making a perfect and addictive product. Everybody might not see it from a distance, but all of you will realize the value and importance of being the team member who puts a heroic effort. You know, like there are old India matches in World Cup where some guy who was the 8th man on the team, he hit 70 runs and India won the match. So you know, even 10-15 years later, people remember that guy. So that is the importance of a heroic effort. And when you say heroic effort, then underlying it are many things. Like the person before me, he pointed out to somebody कि तुम बीच में बात, if you are talking in between the other guy is talking, you are not paying attention and you are unemployable. The underlying thing he is saying is that you are not actually trying to pour your attention into something in a way that can make a massive impact. Now it might be debatable, like if some speaker says, or if I also say to somebody, don't do this, and the other person might say that, well, how can you call me out? But whenever we are building products that we want should be addictive, which we want to be hits and super hits, this is one of the underlying implications that we need to pour ourselves into a task. And a lot of people might question it, say that this field does not pay people, why do people pour themselves into a task? But it's like the thrill of somebody playing in a IPL team and wants to be a winner because cricket is what he has loved, or the thrill of somebody joining the army, even though 100 people might say that this career is not as good as it was. So these are some of the thoughts that I wanted to share about the why factor of why people enter the game dev industry. And if I had more time, I would have tried to share personal anecdotes and stories about situations where we thought we are dying and then suddenly 10 lakhs, some product we built on, or situation where we thought that nothing can be done and some guy who we were not looking at as being very important poured his heart and soul into things and saved the day. But those stories perhaps for another day. At this point, all I'll say is that I wish you all the best and go and make India proud. Go and bring India onto the world map of games and go and do some great things. Thank you all so much. I think maybe I've ended somewhat faster than I could have, but if any of you have any thoughts or questions, please welcome to raise your hand and say something. I'll take five minutes more. We'll take some time, have some discussion, if we may. Anybody? आप कुछ पूछ सकते हो. You can ask anything.
So,
Yeah.
do you think shorter games are the future of gaming? Like AAA games are 16, 30, 50, 60 hours these days. Right? So a lot of people are having, like the younger generation, they have less and less attention span and they are not able to complete their games. A lot of games remain in their catalog, but they don't play they're part of their game. So, do you think shorter games are the future in that scenario?
See, there are two aspects to it. One, that at any point in the industry, there will always be industry trends and market trends. A trend might last for 2 or 3 years, even 5 years, or 10 years also. And then you realize that, okay, the industry has taken a turn in this direction. But I would say that from the point of view of a developer, whether it's an individual or whether it's a part of a development team, it doesn't matter what is the future. Why? Because you are always playing from match to match. Like if you are part of a cricket team and somebody says that is Test cricket the past and is only T20 the future, is there a scope for one-day matches? You are not thinking about the trend. You want to play and you want to play to win. Let us say the industry is taking a turn towards gambling and the government is regulating it. But it's not like because of a trend you are going to change the trajectory of your career. You will always be looking for the next opportunity and what is it that is the next big thing, not just for the industry but for you. You're getting what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like before Angry Birds came, who could have thought, have you played Angry Birds? Have you heard of Angry Birds? Everybody has heard of Angry Birds, no? So before Angry Birds came, who could have thought there will be a touchscreen game where with a catapult you are pulling back a bird and shooting a pig? Or dropping a structure made of wood, right? But the thing is that once it came, that is what became the hit. Because see, a hit by definition is an outlier, right? A hit may or may not make money in the immediate term. But once a hit has come, it sort of sets the trajectory for the future. You're getting what I'm saying? Like let's say there was a movie Sholay. Now before Sholay also there were many people with dacoits. Everybody has heard of Sholay, na?
Yeah.
Everybody has heard of Sholay, na? So before that also there were movies with dacoits. Before that also there were movies in which Helen had done a dance like a dancing girl. Before that also there were movies where there were heroes who fought and gave very good dialogue delivery. But once Sholay came, it kind of defined a trend. 20-30 years later when people still love that movie, it kind of is the hit, it becomes a genre defining hit. If you see a movie like Gangs of Wasseypur, right, it became a genre defining hit. At least the actors who acted in it, let us say that you are Pankaj Tripathi and you are playing the role of Sultan Qureshi. So then if you are the guy who is playing some defining role, then does it matter to Pankaj Tripathi what is the scope for gangster movies set in the small town of Bihar? It doesn't matter, na? Because that is the place where he played and won. Does it matter to say Surya Kumar Yadav whether what will be the shape of political relations between India and Pakistan? It doesn't, because he is the guy who played and won. You're getting what I'm saying? So because he has to just go show up and play. I'm making sense, no? And I'm very happy that you asked this question. I wish I could have given a shorter, better answer, but I'm trying to give an answer from the heart, which is that irrespective of what somebody says that trend is, you have to go and play your part, you have to go and play your role. Makes sense, no? He just said Gangs of Wasipur, after that there was a movie Meerut Gangsters and half a dozen others. But did they make that kind of impact or have that kind of influence? They didn't, right? They came and they went and people forgot about them. So same with the game in which you are working, right? That you have to give your performance, which has to be the winning performance. Makes sense, no? So I think, I'm not sure if we have time for any more questions. Do we? We don't? Okay, fine. Thank you so much. Great being here, and I hope I made sense.
Hi, thank you, Nalin, for giving us an enlightening view of the gaming industry. Next, here we're going to have Lakshya.